Let's get started. I'm Rohit Mathur, co-founder of FieldWorker, and along with me, I have Prabhat Vesh, who's my co-founder and partner here. I also have Ann Murtha from the account management side, and Sunny Nair, who's all thing customer success. So very happy to have our team here talking to you. Quick background. I come from a family with experience in developmental disabilities, and Prabhat and I bring several decades of experience in technology and developmental disability care to the table. Prabhat is also not only a co-founder with FieldWorker, but also a professor at NJIT in computer science. And so FieldWorker is a product that we developed over the last couple of years after we realized a lot of the challenges that organizations face who are delivering services and care in the field or in their facilities. So this has a lot of thought has gone into it, and our objective here is to help and continue to build the product to continue to help you. We would like to keep this as informal as possible, and then we love to interact. So what we would like to do is for you to, if you have any questions, right, just put them in the chat, put them in Q&A. We are happy to answer them. We've also have a couple of polls that we will run during the webinar. We'd love for you to participate in those polls as well, to understand more about some of the challenges you're facing. I mean, there are always challenges, right? We are doing God's work, we are doing good work, but there are always challenges. Some are common across organizations, some are unique to your business. We have audit and compliance requirements. We want to centralize all our records. We want to make our revenue cycles smoother, reduce errors and denials. We want to have resources who deliver top quality service. We want to get paid faster. We want to manage our personnel better, manage our schedules, timelines, billing. All these things are there. We aim to address with FieldWorker a lot of these challenges that you face. We may or may not be able to cover them all here, but we are happy to have follow-up conversations with you about things that you do. So what we are going to do is, again, please ask questions. Please, any queries, if you'd like us to talk about a particular area, please feel free to drop that in the chat. But what we are going to do is we're going to, without further ado, we're going to jump into actually showing you the product. We're going to work through the product. Sunny is going to take the lead in that. We're going to show you how everything works. We'll cover a few areas. And of course, you know, FieldWorker works for support coordination agencies. We work with service provider agencies. Today's webinar is going to focus more on the service provider side of things. But again, we are happy to answer any questions if you are a support coordination agency and would like to ask questions. But a lot of areas are common. So they should help everybody who's on the call. So Sunny is going to go and launch in and show you how things work. Happy to answer questions. And after that, we're going to take, we'll leave a period of time where you can ask questions as well. So that's about it. And Sunny, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Rohit, and good evening, everybody. I would be sharing my screen now and walking you through the FieldWorker product. So my screen is just coming up. A second.
So should I stop sharing, Sunny, on my side first?
Yes, I think.
Okay, so you should be able to share now.
Yes, you see my screen? Yes. So this is our login screen. We use Microsoft in order to log in order to be HIPAA compliant. So the whole product is HIPAA compliant, as well as we employees go through HIPAA training. I would be using Microsoft to log in. Once I click on the sign in button, I can then use my user ID, which is unique So you and every user or employee of your agency would receive their own user ID and password, which they would then use to log into the system. We also have two-factor, which is enabled, which adds as an added layer of security while logging in. Once I have logged in, let me just do this. Yes. So once I have logged in, this is the home screen. You would see there is a list of upcoming appointments listed out here. And you can always switch to know what your schedule is like for the day. To the bottom left, we also have the timesheets button. So timesheets can be added to the system by your employees and can be viewed here, as well as any recent calls which have been made out through the mobile app. So along with the web app, we also have an iOS and Android mobile app, which you can use to make phone calls out of, as well as use it for the check-in, check-out of EVV. So recent calls, the timesheets, and upcoming appointments would be your homepage. I would now be going to our client center or client dashboard, where you would see a list of all your clients. So clicking on the clients tab, you have a list of all your active clients listed here. We also have any inactive or prospect clients. Many a times clients have been assigned to you but are still not a part of your agency. You can create them as prospects on our system. Coming into the active tab, this is the client dashboard. We have an overview of the client where you would see all of the client demographic information. I can also click on show more and see any additional information. When I edit this client record, we have more fields that can be stored for a client. So for fields like the county, race, ethnicity, the NJ CAT score, all of this information can be stored for a client. So when I say close, just give me 1 second. So I'm going to say close. To the bottom, we also have recent notes. So as there are notes that have been added to your client record, you would see them as recent notes here. So you have 5 recent notes as well as all additional notes are present ahead. So this would be the overview page for your client. Coming in to the second page, we have projects to the top. When I click on projects, you will see the ongoing as well as any completed projects. So now, what is a project? A project would typically be the service that your client has been approved for. So for example, in this case, Abigail Horner has been approved for community-based supports till November 5th, 2024. So you can create a project for the whole plan year and have this project, which will include all the tasks, notes, and services included in it. So once a project has been completed, it moves to the completed tab, and we never delete information from the system. So you can always have additional projects for a single client. And once they have been completed, they would move to the completed tab. Now, the next part would be tasks. So a task is typically a service which is to be completed. So you have ongoing tasks. So any task which has been scheduled would show up in the ongoing. And our completed tasks page has all the information about tasks that have already been completed or time that has been entered in by your employees. So typically when there is a visit or service that needs to be provided, your employees would be creating either a task to record their time or a timesheet. If it's a task, they would be using the mobile app to check in, check out, which is typically the case for EVV visits. So there can be a service which is approved for EVV. And in that case, you would require to create a task and then use our mobile app to check in and check out, which would move it to a completed task. Now, going forward to people, we have employees. So additional employees, multiple employees can be associated with a single client. In case there is an employee who is on vacation and there is another employee who's filling in, you can associate multiple employees. So this is a list of my employees on the system. You can associate multiple employees with a single click, and they then have access to the client record. As for designations, we have the FieldWorker designation as well as the admin designation for a service provider agency. An admin would typically view all of the client data, whereas a field worker would only see clients who they're assigned to. So in case of, for example, Chris needs to now work with Abigail, I can associate Chris, which would provide access to all of Abigail's information on Chris's login as well. Below, we have customer contacts. So any contacts, family, the doctor, all of this information can be stored for a customer through the system. You can also use the mobile app in order to make phone calls directly out on the phone number through the mobile app. And it does help in case of an emergency to have these associated with the client project or client record. You can also add, I'm sorry, you can also add multiple contacts with a single click. So for example, I want to add Zach here. I can add multiple contacts with a single click. So Zach's just added here. Now, going forward, we have the files or the document center. This is typically where you can store all your client-related documents. So for example, the SDR, any plan information, plan approval, the ISP that you would like to store for the client. This document center your documents can be uploaded and viewed at any time using our files. And every client would have their own document center. Moving forward, we have the notes. So a note on the system can be created to the client record. It can be associated with a client task or a service. Now, for example, I can add a note which is generalized to the customer record, or I can add a note to the different projects. So as we create projects for a service that a client has been approved for, you would have multiple projects here, and you can then select on which project is the note associated with. We can also then select the task. So for example, I have the community-based. I can then associate a note with any of the tasks or service that has been completed for the client. So I had a home visit on 1st of January. I can associate that to a note, and it would be created as a case note for that visit. Going forward, we have the authorization tab. So we track units based on the SDR document for your clients. So clients in the day program, your clients who have community-based supports, individual supports, in-home visits would have an SDR where you see a weekly breakdown of the units which have been approved for them. Using our charge capture feature, you can get this information in until the end of the planned date. And based on that, we then do the calculation on the time that has been entered in to let you know of what are the total units remaining at the end of that service period, as well as the end of the plan. So as I enter in time to the current period, so for example, I look at this is the current period. As I enter time here, you will see that the calculation ahead also is changed. This gives the admin a good view of the amount of units which have been approved and are still remaining. And you can then reschedule or schedule newer tasks so that you're not wasting units that have already been approved for a client. So that is where the authorizations come in. Great. Now we have the notes. So just going over it once again, as for the client record, we have the overview, the projects, tasks. We have projects, tasks, the people who are employees and contacts, as files, notes, and authorization. So I'll be now pausing for any questions. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, great, good stuff, Sunny. Please, any questions that you might have, please feel free to ask them about what we are showing, and Sunny is taking you through a logical flow of how the information is organized, and we centralize all the data. There's also a poll that might show up on your screen. Please take a moment to answer the questions. This is an anonymous poll, but it also helps us understand what are the areas that are important to you and that you want to address within your organization. So we'll leave it up for a minute. Any questions that you might have, please ask, and if you can answer the poll as well, that'll be fantastic. But our objective here with FieldWorker is to make your life easier. So we'd love to hear from you of areas that you like, the areas in your organization that you want to address, or areas that we are not covering here that you would like us to talk more about. There is so much to FieldWorker, so many different parts to it, and we have to take a path through it. So we are happy to answer your questions in this space. So Sunny, one of the questions is, can I get reporting out of the system? So I'll take that. We will come to address the reporting area as well, and we will address that. So there is a lot of reporting in the system, a lot of flexibility, and we will show you how you can do that. You can even export data out if you want to see that. So we will do that. And yes, we will cover billing as well. So we will address that too. Okay, all right. Let's continue on, Sunny. We got yeah.
Yes, thank you. So we now look into how a task or a service can be created and how that then translates into billing as well as updates the units on our system. So for this example, I have set up a client with a service period from 212 to 218 as well as 219 to 225, which goes all the way up to the end of the plan. We currently have 352 units remaining in the current plan. So now task, you can either have a task that is created. So you can create a task using the mobile app as well as the web app, which your employee checks in and checks out. So I'm just going to say, for example, I'm going to say it's a home visit. It's an EVV visit for a certain client. So you can say it's a community-based visit support. You can set what the start time and end time of the task is. So I would say it's from, say, 4 p.m. today, or 4:30 to 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then I can select the location where the task is bound to happen. These locations can be associated with a client, and you can associate multiple clients. We also have a multiple locations. So in case, you have a check-in, check-out for day program clients, typically, sometimes you have clients that you pick up from the day program and, you have an IS service then up to their homes. So you can check in from the home, from the day program, and then check out from the client location by associating both of these addresses with the task, right? I will then hit continue, and you can select on who is the caregiver or DSP working with the client. So I'm going to associate this to myself, and I can say create task. We also have a signature required. So you can take client signatures on the phone app. So in case this is required, you can say yes, and once the task has been checked out from the mobile app, the client would have to sign a screen, which is saved and can be viewed through the web app. So once I say create task, this task has now been created. And if I go back to home, you will see that the task is right here in front. So if I screen to the right, this is the task home visit that I just created from 4:30 p.m. So this is one method in which you can create a task. The employee can then use our mobile app to check in and check out based on when the task starts and ends. In case there is no EVV, tasks can be entered in or time can be entered in using our timesheet options. So using the timesheet, you can select the client. So I would say Kimberly Ennis. You can say the task title. So I would say it's a home visit. The task type, let me say a home visit. And you can then say when the check-in and check-out happen. So if I say, for example, 219 from 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. to 219, let's say 1 p.m. Right? So now this is 3 hours, the task. I can say submit. Once this task has been added in, so the task has been added in for 219. When I go back to the client record, so I'm going to go to the client dashboard, go to Kimberly Ennis, who is my client, and I can go to the authorizations. You will see that this service period for 219 to 225 is now updated with the units used for that service. And that then updates the whole total units remaining to the end of the plan. Sorry. This information is visible not just on the client record, but also on our billing tab. So our billing works off the claims table as well as the charge capture. So a charge capture is typically where you would get all of these authorizations for a client into the system. So, you can have all of the different clients and the authorized units as well based on a weekly breakdown. So for example, right here, I have 219 to 225, and I have just one task matched up till now. So as my employee in the service period enters time in, the tasks are matched as they are matched to the service code. Sorry. So a procedure code, when a client is approved for a service, they would be approved with a certain procedure code. We set these procedure codes up as task types. And every time your employee enters in time with that task type, we match the task to this service authorization. Once the service period has been completed and you have finished all of the tasks. So for example, I have now ended this service period and I need to bill. I can click on the service and I can say send. Once I say send, this will send the claim to our claims dashboard. So from the charge capture, I can say send, and that would move into our claims dashboard. On the claims dashboard, you would see a claim with the information that has to be submitted to NJMMIS. So we have integrated with NJMMIS and submit your claims. Once, yeah, right here. So you will see the claim has the right service start date, end date, the units, and we also have the rate that is associated with this service period mentioned, which would then have your authorized amount calculated. You can make sure that all of the information here is correct. If there is any change required, you can make changes to this information right here. So for example, if the prior authorization is incorrect, I can click and make a change and then submit it from our claims dashboard. If there is any manual claims that you need to submit to NGMMIS, we also have a manual add a claim option. So you can add a claim and make a manual claim to submit, as well as delete any claim. So I'm going to delete this claim right here. We have a claim status column towards the end where you can see the claim status. When you submit the claims to us, we would submit these ahead to NGMMIS. So anything that is submitted before Friday would be processed that same weekend. You would see an update to the claim status on the following Monday, whether a claim has been accepted or denied. When a claim has been denied, you can make the necessary changes right here. We also provide you with the error code and error description that you receive from NJMMIS on your remittance reports. There are typically error codes that are mentioned on the remittance reports, the text files. We mention them here with the description. You can then make a change to the claim directly through our claims dashboard and resubmit. So in this way, you do not miss out on any claim which has been denied for. And this claims dashboard is for every month. So any claims that you have submitted, you can go back to make sure every claim has been paid for. So this would be our billing using our task or service. Just running over it once again, you can, for EVV purposes, you would have a task that is scheduled initially. Your employees would be using the mobile app to check in, check out. For a non-EVV service, in order to bill, you can either use the tasks and have them check in, check out through the web app, or you can add in a timesheet, or your employees can add in a timesheet for the time that they have worked. So you can select the project, the task title, I will say visit. You can then select what the visit type is. So this visit type is typically the procedure code. So for example, the procedure code for a home visit is T1019. So in case it's a day program, we can have the S1015, all of these mapped. So going into the configurations, we have a lot of configurations available, as well as different task types that can be entered into the system. So the system's configurable. You can configure it based on your agency. So we have a long list of task types that you can set up. And based on that, your employees can then add in time. Another additional feature that we have is we can associate task types or procedures with a client record. So for example, Abigail has been approved for CBS visits. I can then make sure that her tasks are only CBS and CBS equity if needed, or only CBS. Now, an employee can only and will be only able to enter time towards as a community-based support for this client. This reduces errors and makes sure that the client is being billed for with the right procedure code and the right information. So we have this bifurcation done on a client as well as an employee. So even employees can have tasks associated. So for example, if I have an employee who can only do individual supports, we can associate this task type with the employee record and they would then only be able to include time for individual supports. So if I say individual supports, Rami would now only be able to capture time against individual supports. So we limit the options that are available for an employee to enter in time, and there your billing is streamlined as well. Any questions for the billing process?
So do you bill to NGMMIS, one of the questions. How does EVV billing work?
Yes. So for EVB, we have integrated with HHA, who is the aggregator for the state of New Jersey. So for EVB, this is your EVB activity. So any visit which has been completed, checked in, checked out by your employees flows through to HHA. You as an admin have a view of EVB activity. As this is a dummy account, I do not have the logs here, but you would see a log of every hour. Every hour, we send EVB visits which have been checked in, checked out to HHA in real time. So you would have a view of that. We also have a submission review page where you can review any of the visits which have flown through. So if I want to view the visits which have flown through in this period, I can say, and it would show me what are the different visits which have flown through to HHA. So for EVB clients, our billing passes through to HHA, and you can view them from our EVB submission review. It all depends on the task type when we set or configure your account. So task types with which need to flow through HHA are typically linked to services. So if I go to here, I can go to community-based visit, and I can link it to a procedure code on our system. We have preset a lot of different procedures for EVB. And if there are any services that you provide which are not in this list, we can then add them in as well. So we have all of these different services which procedure codes can be mapped to. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, please feel free to ask any more questions that you have. But essentially, if you see, the idea is what FieldWorker is doing is that whether you are a community center or a day service provider or a day hab provider, respite care, or in-home care, FieldWorker addresses your needs, right? And then, of course, support coordination as well, as we do monitoring tools, etc. Again, we are touching on each of these topics. We have spent a significant amount of time on billing, but effectively, we are centralizing all your records. We are giving you access to all the documents associated with the client that you can keep in a central place. You are better prepared for audits or any compliance requirements. And as you know, DDD has started increasing the number of audits that they are doing as well. So you have all your records in a centralized place. You have documentation in a centralized place. You have end-to-end view into your entire workflow. You have that view from your mobile app. You have your view from your desktop app, and you can manage your agency. So remote workers, making sure that the quality of services delivered are high. Our objective is to get that information to you and always available to you. There are lots of things that are in the system. People go for EVV visits, they forget to check out. You are an administrator in the office, you can manage things like that. We have reporting which is everywhere. But we are going to get to some of these areas. It's going to be exciting. Again, feel free to continue to ask questions. I'm launching another poll here as well, a short poll that would be good to get your responses to, and we'll give it a minute for you to answer some of these questions. Again, this will help us cover areas that you would like us to cover more, talk to you further about this. And if there are parts here that we are not covering in our demonstration here by Sunny, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are happy to explain further to you, understand the challenges that you are facing yourself, and address them. Again, there are common challenges, as we talked about, across agencies. There are challenges that are unique to your agency because of your business processes and the way you are servicing your clients or the needs of your clients, who, of course, require a lot of care. So we are happy to delve further into those areas. So if we can, your inputs is very much needed, and any questions, please feel free to continue to do that. Um, um, Sunny, proof of service delivered. You showed something about signatures. A question is that uh, can we record a voice note as well?
Yes, sure. So, yes. So to answer the question, yes, you can record a voice note from our mobile app. So these voice notes can be recorded through a mobile app and are available through the web app. So when you typically check into a task, you can set up whether you want to record a voice note or add in a signature for a client. So those are two ways in which you can make sure that a visit has occurred. The signature can be the client signature on the mobile app as well as the voice note. We have notes as well on the mobile app, which can be entered in by your employees using the voice to text. So there are features, these features are available on the mobile app. And yes, to answer the question, you can record a voice note for a client, and this would be available on the web app for you to view as well.
And thank you for entering the poll. Sunny, please continue. Put the poll down now.
Okay, great. So thank you. Going forward, we now look into a bit of the reporting as well as our document center. So first, going into the document center, we have designed a document center where you can have secure folder, a public, as well as every client would have their own document. So any documents that have been updated for your clients can be visible directly through this page. You can also download these documents. Secure documents are typically in data that is on your account. For a client document, this can be visible for any client who has been associated with any employee who has been associated with the client. You can add documents to the document folder by clicking on upload file and just select a document from your local machine. You can then associate or add it to either a secure or a public folder, and this will then be you can then have it accessed by your other employees. So you can associate or add documents and use this as a document center for all your client information as well as agency documents. Going into the reporting, so we have a lot of reporting mentioned here. You have billing reporting, which can be customized based on a certain time period. So when you bill for a certain, so if I want to check for billing from the 1st to the 8th, you can do so, and that then creates these reports. As this is a dummy account, I do not have any transactions, but I can show you the service authorization report. The service authorization report typically pulls up all of your clients' authorizations in that period and shows you what has been worked on. We have the prior auth report as well, which gives you an overall idea of your agency on how different MTs. So this is our prior auth report, where you can see what was the amount that came in from the prior authorization and what was matched and what was billed for. So this has the MTs, but as service providers, these authorizations relate to your procedure code. We then have the claim collection billing outstanding report, which will be populated once you have claims submitted. Coming in for service providers, we have case manager reports, which include all of the case notes and the service that has been provided. So for example, I say, if I do a yearly report and I can hit a search for a certain client, when I say view report, there will be a report that is generated, which includes all of the case notes with the time and the rate that is assigned to this client. So you see different timesheet entries with the description of service and so on and so forth, all of the visits that have been completed. So if there is a visit, all of this information is visible here. We also have a task report. So when I go to administration, we have the tasks report, which will give you a list of all of the different tasks which have been completed for your clients. You can have a filter based on the date, or you can also have additional filters. So for example, if I want to check for a report, which for a certain employee, so I would say my name, it then filters out the visits only under that employee. The same can be also done for a customer. So if I say customer first name, And I say Horner, customer last name, actually, sorry. You will see that only the visits in this service period for the client show up. You can export these reports as either a CSV or a PDF whenever needed. So all our reports, all our tables on the system, the claims dashboard, the billing dashboard, all of this information is exportable as a CSV or a PDF to your local machine. So just going over the reports once again, we have the task reports for service providers, which gives you a list of all of the different tasks that have been created. The columns can also be edited. So for example, if you want to see what is the task name as the first column, you can always shift these columns and save the view so that the next time you log in, it would be the same view then. So we have a lot of functionality in our tables. If you come to the case manager, you get case manager reports based on a client. You can select who the client is and get a report of all of the tasks, all of the tasks and notes that have been added in. And finally, we have a timesheet report, which basically shows you all of the time for a client. Now, for an employee. So if I go to timesheets, we also have a timesheet summary here. When your employees enter in time, you can edit and view their time on a daily basis. So for example, if I want to view for a certain pay period, I want to view what task has been entered in. I can then view the same for a client, for an employee. So for example, my employee, I have worked with these two clients, and all of this information can also then be exported as a CSV or a PDF. So most of the tables on the system can be exported, and that's the functionality. Just running over it once again, we have the reports as well as the document center. So the document center is where you can store documents. Any questions? Any questions regarding the reports? We also have a lot of custom reports. So, and we build custom reports for agencies. So if there is certain information that you need access to, because we store all of this information, right? We collect all of this information. It's only about displaying it in a certain manner. So if there are any custom reports that you would like from the system, we'd be more than happy to get those requirements from you and help build them on the system itself.
Sunny, there's a question around security of data. How do you ensure security of data?
Yes, so we use, as I said, we use Microsoft in order to be HIPAA compliant. So those are military grade databases, which helps to keep your data secure. As for data security in between the agency itself, we have designations. So not all your employees see all of the data on the system. They only see data that they are supposed to. So in that way, we store your data in a safe manner, as well as display it only to people who should be seeing that kind of data. And the system's completely HIPAA compliant as well. So.
There's a question about support coordination, actually, that will there be a review of support coordination specific documentation? Most of what we have talked about is for provider agencies and not support coordination agencies. That is true. We do have spent most of the time on service provider rather than support coordination. And if I may ask, could you elaborate what you would like to discuss? Would you like to see monitoring tools, information? Would you like to see something else? We are happy to set up time separately with you to go over support coordination documentation, if that helps. Would that work? There's another thing I have asked here in a short poll in reference to that question. What are the other areas that you would like us to talk about? I'm actually replying directly to the person who asked this question. That we are happy to set up some time to go over monitoring tools. Okay, thank you. So the person responded that they would like to set up a separate time with them, and we would be happy to do that. Yes, this webinar is focused more on service providers and less on support coordination, but we have full functionality around support coordination as well that we haven't covered here. Of course, the customer center, the documentation center, all the time capture, client information, all that is common, but just for everybody else's information, we have extensive workflows around creation of monitoring tools, approvals of monitoring tools, rejection of monitoring tools, following up on follow-up items, et cetera, built into the system specifically for support coordination agency, which we are not covering here, but we are going to set up another webinar in the next few weeks, which will be focused on support coordination agencies. It's too much information to cover in one topic, in one session. Somebody has asked a question that they have issues with employees not entering case notes, etc. How do you take care of that through mobile and web app?
Yes, I could answer that. Yes. So currently we do not enforce a case note, but we have an update coming out where your employees, right, once they check out of the task, they would have to start or enter in a case note, until which that checkout would not be registered. So currently these case notes can be entered when a task is checked out, but we do not enforce it. But in order to make sure that, because in the service provider business, right, the case note is the billable for a service. So we want to make it in such a way where we enforce the employees to enter in case notes before checking out. And once they have been checked out, these case notes, they then traverse back to the web app. So you would then see the notes in the format where every note would be associated with a task. So for example, now in this case, this note has been associated with a visit Abigail on our community-based supports. So for example, here you see home visit. So this note is for the home visit on 1/8. So we don't currently enforce it, but in an update very soon, we'd be enforcing case notes to be entered in by an employee before they check out of a task on the mobile app. And also, just to add to that question, all of the information that you see on the web app is also available on the mobile app. So for example, all of the notes which have been entered for a client, the demographic, the tasks, all of this can be accessed by your employees through the mobile app as well.
Right. Thank you. We are right at the time of completion, 45-minute webinar. If there are any last-minute questions, please shoot them over. And if there are any things that you would like to discuss with us about your agency specifically, please, Anne is on this call. And actually, let me do this. I'm going to drop our email address directly here. And so please reach out to us. This is Anne's. Oh, I actually just sent it to a few people. And please reach out to us, and we are happy to set up time and have a one-on-one discussion with you on anything that you would like to talk about your agency. Hope this was informative. We do these webinars on a very regular cadence every few weeks, and the next one will possibly be on focusing more on support coordination. And we look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much, everybody. And anything you would like to add, or Sunny, anything else you would like to add? Prabhat, anything else you would like to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it for my end. Really look forward to talk to all of the clients, and be more than happy to set up calls. Every agency works or functions in a certain format. We are more than happy to meet you one-on-one, understand your business, and then help you set up on our FieldWorker system. As I said, most of the system is configurable, so we can configure it to be operating off the business process that you currently have in place.
Perfect. Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody.